Are you going to address, are you going to revisit the nepotism policy?
Excuse me, we have a four minute time period.
Yes.
All right. We do, right?
Yes.
A sentence, can that be answered?
There is nothing to revisit at this point when...
Can we read your nepotism policy, Mr. Lawson? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll be back. Leon Cyrilnik.
Leon Cyrilnik, Manalapan. It was a shame that members of the board had to qualify their votes for Mr. Lawson before they even cast their votes for him. I'm glad to hear that the administrators volunteered to the wage freeze. It's a great first step in acknowledging the problems that we're having with the budget. And it also eliminates half of my comments. In looking over the agenda, I noticed that there are 66 tenured secretaries, making an average of $50,000. Several questions came to mind. Why are secretaries tenured? I understand why teachers are, but I never heard of any business, public or private, where secretaries are tenured. What is the criteria for tenuring a secretary? Is it relevant what department they work under to obtain tenure? And there was no listing on the agenda of non-tenured secretaries. Were they all given their notices already? And were any secretaries moved to the tenured list to protect them? We're starting a new term following a very strange selection process last Tuesday. I hate to call it an election when two of the candidates ran unopposed and Mr. Lawson ran against a candidate who chose to be virtually anonymous. They voted for Mr. Lawson but rejected the budget. What does that tell you about the district? I wonder if the Howell residents realize that they now have two representatives who, because of that dirty word, nepotism, will be forced to abstain from taking part in the most important votes they will ever have to make, and that is the selection of a new superintendent.
Okay.
Again, it was refreshing to hear that the administrators are taking the wage freeze, and it is a good first step.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll respond to questions and points necessary at the end.
Right.
Jim Sage.
Jim Sage, Marlborough. This board just approved a law firm of Schwartz, Simon, Elstein, Kelso, and Zimmer as board counsel to represent this district. In my opinion, a serious misjudgment has occurred in approving this law firm, and it's just my opinion, based on what I've observed over the last 2 years. Their actions on behalf of this board was contrary to the civility that you, Mr. Lawson, called for. At July 28, 2008 board meeting during the height of the Bryan State University diploma mill controversy, Mr. Schwartz denied that BSU is a diploma mill and further stated it was not a significant legal issue and Mr. Lawson had every right to continue using the doctorate title. This was an understatement to say the least. There are state regulations regarding the usage of phony degrees that are not properly accredited. These statutes were violated, and as you know, the Council on Higher Education stripped the private employees of their unlawful and undeserved titles, and to this day, we have feelings of contempt, disgust, and betrayal of this trust still lingers. Secondly, there was an attempt to violate the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. This board, with guidance from this firm, attempted to subpoena a news organization's website for names of people who criticized the district's leadership in NJ.com postings. I don't recall a successful attempt by a governmental agency to violate anonymous citizens' rights to free speech. Perhaps this law firm should revisit the landmark case of Sullivan versus the New York Times. Third, there was an attempt to bypass a law by creating a high-priced, low-show job of administrator of special projects. Here, our law firm did not want a public hearing on this matter, a clear violation that was brought to the attention of Carol Morris, County Superintendent. She declared the pact null and void. Then there was the case of ethics overkill with Bonnie Sue Rosenwald. Whatever happened with that? A costly settlement of $133,000 was made. I was told this came from an insurance carrier as opposed to the taxpayers, but I haven't seen any evidence of that. Lastly, and the one that sticks in my throat like a fish bone, the mishandled and costly case of former employee Daniel Flynn, a case that was competently handled by Monmouth County's largest law firm, the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. They convicted Mr. Flynn and revoked his credentials to teach in the state. However, our esteemed law firm decided to suspend Mr. Flynn without pay. State law mandates in the absence of board-certified tenure charges or a criminal indictment, tenured employees must get paid during their suspension, whether we like it or not. The judge in this case questioned a representative of this law firm as to why, after a purported investigation, Mr. Flynn wasn't served with tenure charges, considering the seriousness of the crime. Counsel, according to the report, was unable to answer that question. I asked Mr. Boyce on March 27th to disseminate the report to all board members. Did you get it? Barry, did you get the report that I asked Mr. Boyce to give?
No, I did not. You cannot question board members, and please
told
do
me you
not
handed it
question
out.
board members, okay?
Did you hand it out? Oh, Barry didn't get it.
Sir,
That's all I have to say.
Craig Zinkowski.
Here you get the report.
Craig Zinkowski. I live in Jackson, New Jersey, but I'm an employee for Freehold Regional High School District. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? Thank you for your time. I just have a quick question. You know, due to respect of what's going on in the state of New Jersey, my wife being a teacher in the state, everything's going on in her school is the same thing that's going on in this district. I've been an employee here for this coming June would be 15 years. I'm one of the unlucky ones who got a letter from this district, which I'm sure was a hard thing for this district to give. Knowing the board policies that I read on the website and knowing the contractual contracts that I read for both the custodials, grounds, maintenance, and the supervisors, my knowledge is it goes from bottom up. And I'm just curious, looking over the supervisors who are my partners, I'm one of 12. There's one supervisor who is below me as far as date of hire. I was wondering if there's a different criteria or a different system that's being used for me to get a letter prior to or over that supervisor that's under me. Not that I wish that supervisor to ever get one. So if that can be answered at any time, sometime in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. William Lewis.
William Lewis, Farmdale resident, but currently an employee of Freehold Township High School. I would hope that the recommendation of the superintendent of not recommending myself for employment for the next school year would be reconsidered. I've been employed by this district for 14 years and performed my job as asked. I have knowledge of all the buildings the district maintains and operate all the equipment used in the district. We maintain a valid Black Seal license and feel that this layoff, or whatever it's being called, has been handled unfairly and should be looked at and handled differently. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Adair.
Pass, thank you.
Thank you. Andrea Giannopoulos.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.